Yes! Hello, my beautiful friends. It is an amazing day. Welcome back. I hope your Christmas and your holidays were outstanding and you're feeling rejuvenated and back, filled with some delicious food, some nurturing relationships, and maybe a gift or two if you were on the nice list. We're making sure the tubes are firing up. We're constantly building out and settling in here in our new studio, which is just a bedroom. But we're making sure we're coming across live on Locals, on Rumble, of course, on YouTube. Looks like we're here. That's tremendous news. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to yet another episode of Watching the Watchers Live. We've got some great business to attend to today before the year comes to a close. We've got some Matt Gaetz updates. Last time we were here, I was going to say last week, but it wasn't last week. I think it was on Monday. We were talking about Matt Gaetz and that ethics report that they dropped on 12/23. They said, "Merry Christmas, Matt. Enjoy this big lump of coal from the Congressional Ethics Committee." Well, we have a witness. His name is Chris Dorworth, and he is now out explaining that he demands a retraction, saying they referenced me in this little ethics report, and I contest everything that they say. And so his attorney sent a letter over to the Ethics Committee demanding a retraction. We'll take a look at it and read through the letter. Then there was an interesting opinion piece that came out over from The Hill, you know that magazine. And what they are saying is that Congress should act to stop Trump from taking office, which is hilarious because they go through the Electoral Count Act and they say basically they want some Congress people to come out, contest Trump when they count the electoral votes, and they're making their final pitch for this. And when we were talking about these things in 2020, they were telling us that that was an insurrection. And Fannie Willis said that there was a RICO process happening and that people needed to be indicted, 19 of them. So we'll see if these opinion journos from The Hill deserve criminal prosecution for this. We'll read through it. Then we've got an update on Luigi Mangione, the CEO assassin. He was out in court last week for his arraignment in New York. We're learning more about his cases now. He's got 3 cases. One is the state case for the gun charges in Pennsylvania. One is the state case for terrorism. That's Alvin Bragg's case in the state of New York. And then the other, of course, is the federal prosecution because the feds indicted him for murder as well. Now, part of the federal prosecution involves this judge, and the judge is married to a former CEO, a former executive of a pharma company. I think it was Pfizer, we'll see. But that's interesting because now we're asking this question and we're making that observation that the judge is in bed with Big Pharma. Yeah, I said it. It's true because, she's married to him. So they were there. She also owns a bunch of stocks. So the judge presiding over the federal prosecution of Mangione's like, a pharma bro, basically. So we'll talk about that. And then we'll unpack what's going on with that clip of those shoplifters alleged in California who have gone viral because they realize shoplifting is now bad. You can't do that in California anymore. They passed a prop. It just went into effect right before Christmas. And some of the first new victims of this oppressive law have now been arrested from the police in Seal Beach. And so we've got a bunch of fun stuff to get to today, my friends. As I mentioned, I hope your Christmas, your holiday was outstanding and you're feeling amazing. And I want to welcome you back. We're going to be here today and tomorrow. And then we're ringing in the new year, man. This year flew by. We're excited to be here. And we have another Christmas coming on January 20th. Oh, it's going to be great. So, bunch of good stuff to get to today. Thanks for becoming membos. Thanks for supporting our work here by becoming membos. Got to meet a bunch of amazing people at AmFest last week. We're going to continue to drop some videos from our AmFest production today, tomorrow, and over the weekend. And we had a great members only stream this morning. So if you're looking for some additional content to hang out with an amazing community, whether you're on Locals or on YouTube, come join us. Come become a membo, and we'll see you on the morning streams. We had a great stream this morning, and we missed you if you weren't there. All right, but we got business to attend to today, so let's get into it. We're talking Matt Gaetz, and here is this story A key Matt Gaetz witness is now demanding a retraction. Remember, the House Ethics Committee, whatever that means, released a report right on the eve of Christmas castigating Matt Gaetz, saying he was a monster in a bunch of different ways and made a bunch of allegations. Now, Matt Gaetz has denied this from the very beginning. And now this person called Chris Dorworth, you may not recognize the name, but he showed up in the report, and he came out right after the report was released, and his attorney, by the way, sent a letter demanding a retraction from the Ethics Committee. Now, we know that they're not going to do that because their mission has been accomplished. It was a political smear. They needed to squeeze it in right before Christmas, so Matt Gaetz couldn't sue to stop the report from coming out. They notified him they would drop this thing, and then they dropped it simultaneously. He sued, but by the time the lawsuit even hit the docket, man, they already released the report because they're cowards and that's how they operate. They dropped it on 12/23 like a bunch of pathetic losers. So his lawyer then sent this letter back over to them, identifying 3 key discrepancies that are problematic, and we'll read through it. But here is what Chris Dorworth said after he showed up in the report. We read through a bunch of the report, if you recall. And here is where Dorworth showed up in the report, paragraph 3. It says, Representative Gaetz had interactions with minors that he met through this person called Mr. Greenberg. Said this is Congress speaking, numerous witnesses told the committee that on July 15, 2017, Matt Gaetz attended a party at Mr. Dorworth's home. The party was also attended by Mr. Greenberg, Representative Gaetz' then girlfriend at the time, and several others, including Victim A, who was 17 years old at the time. The record overwhelmingly suggests that Gaetz had intercourse with multiple women at the party, and then the 17-year-old, and paid them all off. Sounds bad. Now, Mr. Dorworth testified that sounds like Hunter Biden, that Gaetz was a frequent guest at his home. Mr. Dorworth said, he's over all the time. Gaetz is here all the time. Yeah, we go have freak-offs all over. You want to come in? Come in. Yeah, please. To enter the community where Mr. Dorworth lives, non-residents are required to present a driver's license before entering. And entry records are even maintained. Now, Mr. Dorworth, who we're going to hear from in a minute, and his lawyer, believed that Gaetz invited people to his home on July 15, 2017. And likewise, Gaetz' then girlfriend provided an affidavit in the civil litigation stating that she and Gaetz attended there at Dorworth's house. Now, the committee received testimony that Victim A and Gaetz had intercourse twice, including at least once in the presence of other attendees. Victim A got $400, that's it, which she understood to be payment for intercourse. Now, at the time, she had just completed junior year of high school, right? And that's illegal, I would imagine, in wherever this happened, Florida. But if that is something that happened. Now, the DOJ presumably investigated this, according to Gaetz and according to the DOJ. Nobody filed charges on this. So it's just Congress smearing him right now. Victim A recall, blah, blah, blah. All right, so Dorworth came out and he says, look, he highlighted it. He circled it in red pen. And he also had 5% battery. Okay. So, like he means serious business here because this is like a do or die situation, like defusing a bomb. You got to get this post out before it goes out. But he says, look, first things first, these people tried to shake us down for money. Number one, that's why I sued them in the first place and why this whole thing even started. I've never met these women. I've taken 3 polygraph tests to dispute their baseless lies. And they don't even have their story straight. In fact, they can't say when they arrived, who they left with, or anything consistent. One witness who was there doesn't remember them being there at all. They said I was at a party when I was documented to be 20 miles away on a boat. And Matt Gaetz wasn't on the Gaetz log. Now, these people are liars, says Chris Dorworth, the guy who they're saying said all this stuff. The fact that Congress selectively included this nonsense shows their bias. These are well known to be lies, but Congress doesn't give a crap. The guy behind it all is in jail right now for lying about a political opponent having intercourse with a minor. It's totally BS. This is clearly a congressional hit job. It is painfully clear that these women are lying. This is a shakedown that caught fire because Matt kicked Kevin McCarthy out of his job. This did not happen. Everything they said about me being there and witnessing any of it is a lie. You are watching the swamp go eye for an eye against Matt Gaetz using liars and felons. I hope America's smart enough to recognize how contrived and untrue this report is. It sickens me to see Congress stoop so low, but I'm not surprised. And that's from Chris Dorworth. Now, he also mentioned this. He says, hey, Representative Michael Gaetz, who was one of the authors of this ethics committee report, says your staff got many key components of my testimony explicitly and provably wrong. This is one glaring example. Please go back and correct the very broken record of my testimony. They got all my stuff wrong, so I hope it makes you wonder about anything else. And this is an interesting thing that happens, right? If you've got one problem, does it taint the whole analysis? You say, you morons couldn't even listen to this guy's testimony and give us an honest presentation of what he did and said. And so if you can't even do it for this witness, why should we trust the rest of the report at all? Saying, interestingly, this person dug this out. Shout out to Mace at AJ Query on X. Says, interestingly, Chris Dorworth testified in August 2024 in depositions to the exact opposite of what the report claims. Said Mr. Dorworth believed that Gaetz invited people to his home. This is what the report says. Dorworth says Gaetz invited people to Dorworth's home. Whatever you think of the report, whether it's a weird error or not, but if you get the basic facts wrong like this, that's a problem. Here's part of the transcript. Answer. Back in the day, like the first this ever happened, the first I ever heard of this, he said, no, of course I didn't do that. It was, question to him, was Mr. Gaetz at your house on July 15, 2017? Chris said, I have no idea. He wasn't on the gate log and I wasn't there. You have never discussed that with him, whether he was there or not? I haven't, no. I haven't, no. Oh, well, they just said you did. Well, tell me about your house. Well, it's nice. I got like 6 bedrooms. It's got a nice pool. I like to cook. I'm kind of a chef. I like to make food for my friends. Question, who invited? Have you been able to discern who invited blank and blank KM to your house on the evening of July 15th? No, I cannot glean that, but I can tell you that the only plausible explanation to that would be Joe Ellicott, who at the time identified her as his girlfriend. And do you know who invited AB to your residence on July 15th? Well, I assume it was KM. Oh, so you believe that Joe Ellicott invited M and M invited B? I mean, that would be my assumption. I don't know. And who invited Ellicott? Okay, so he testifies one way. I don't know what happened there. I don't know who got where they went, who came from who. And they changed that into now he's pinning Matt Gaetz with this fraud. And that is obviously with this criminality. And obviously that is not anything that has happened. So this lawyer came out, Matt Gaetz and his attorney, Matt Gaetz's friend's attorney, demands the House Ethics Committee issue a correction immediately and retract their lies. This is the letter. From Moore Hill and Westmoreland, attorneys at law, out of Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and Pensacola, Florida. Writing, Congressman Michael Gaetz, who is one of the authors of the report. This is regarding a retraction of references to Christopher Dorworth in your December 23rd, Eve of Christmas report in the allegations about Matt Gaetz. Writing the following. All right, dear Congressman, our firm represents Christopher Dorworth in a case pending in the Middle District of Florida. Dorworth is referenced in a report from your Committee on Ethics that you inexplicably made public to members of the media before you published it to the general public on December 23rd as part of your hatchet job. Several of your report's findings about my client Chris are inaccurate, and we demand a retraction as soon as possible. Now, at the outset, I'll note that the release of your committee's report is bizarre. Congressman Gaetz is no longer subject to your jurisdiction, and the precedential effect of the release of this report cannot be overstated. Aside from the absurdity of your committee's decision to publish this report, there is no method of simply undoing the harm that you've caused to many innocent Americans who have never been charged with any crimes, but are now being speared and smeared as child abusers. Now, the public has a right to understand why this report specifically should be released when so many previously have been withheld. Below, Ethics Committee, are 3 demonstrably false statements that you made within your report. And I'm writing to you today to demand the retraction of these demonstrably false statements. Now, for your convenience, I've labeled them as discrepancies so that you don't miss them. Here's one. Discrepancy 1. Mr. Dorworth is what you wrote in your little report. You said Mr. Dorworth believed that Gaetz invited people to his home on July 15th. We just read it. Wrong. No, Mr. Dorworth did not and has never believed that Gaetz invited people to his house on July 15th. In fact, we just read the transcript about that. To support your claim that Gaetz invited people to Chris's home, you cite in a footnote that a gate log does not include Gaetz's name on it. And you reference an affidavit and a deposition transcript that say nothing about Gaetz inviting anyone to my client's home at all. So you just made that up. In fact, contradictory claims that Congressman Gaetz was present at Dorworth's house on a specific date do not support your statement that my client Chris believed anything about Matt, that he was there, or that he invited anyone at all. Now, Mr. Dorworth's deposition transcript does not support at all what you said he said, and it should be retracted immediately. So you guys perverted his testimony in order to create a narrative that benefited you. Now, here's discrepancy number 2 about Gaetz. Mr. Dorworth is what they wrote in the report. He was deposed, and he confronted with cell phone records showing that he was, in fact, at his residence during the party. So Dorworth, they're saying, is a liar. They said, were you there? No. Oh, what do your cell phone records say? Let me see them. Oh, they do say you were there. So you're a liar. They say, as an attendee at Mr. Dorworth's deposition, the lawyer's like, I was there, idiots. I can assure you that he was never, quote, confronted with any cell phone records at all. Okay, so they wrote in their little report, they're like, we cross-examined him and we impeached his own lies with his own cell phone records. No, you didn't, you liars. Stop pretending like you're on Law and Order or something, okay? You're just dumb congresspeople. These cell phone records were deemed attorney's eyes only at the time of Mr. Dorworth's deposition. Mr. Dorworth has not reviewed the records, nor had any expert capable of reaching the conclusions that you guys drew. You flip through a spreadsheet, you're like, oh, got it, busted. An attorney during a deposition made accusations and unsubstantiated statements of fact that you guys addressed to my client, but that's not anything that he was confronted with. I am mortified, he says, that the Committee on Ethics would include such a ridiculous conclusion supported solely by an equally ridiculous premise in its report. He's like, I was there in the room with you. That didn't happen. At this time, I feel the need to remind you of the age-old adage about what happens when we make assumptions. Yeah, you make an ASS out of you and me. When you assume, the committee will never be taken seriously if they can't abide by the basic principles of the rules of evidence. They're just like making stuff up. So that never happened. And how's about discrepancy number 3? Now, the committee requested through counsel, they wrote in their little report, that Dorworth clarify his testimony about his whereabouts on July 15th. And his lawyers didn't respond. And so they're hiding things from us. Lawyer says, what? On September 6, 2024, I sent an email to you guys, to committee staff. The email included exculpatory documents that would show that Matt Gaetz is innocent, supporting his client, Dorworth, and Gaetz's public statements about these accusations. It says, I even called you too. I engaged in phone and email communications with committee staff, your people, and I'm stunned that the report indicates that I did not. He's like, I wrote it down in my logs. I billed for this. This statement in the report should be retracted as false immediately. And they're smearing the lawyer too. He's like, what? I've been working my butt off. So R. Alex Andrand and Rad says, listen, I am disappointed but not surprised by the haphazard and careless manner in which this report was drafted and published. While the damage this sloppy and careless report will do has not yet been quantified, I am asking that you mitigate the harm your reckless decision to publish this report will cause by retracting it and reviewing it for factual accuracy. Signed, yours sincerely, R. Alex Andrade. And that is just one small snippet. You know what's interesting about this? There's this effect called the Gell-Mann amnesia effect. I think Michael Crichton wrote about it. And it's this idea that you can read a newspaper article, or maybe you pick up a newspaper, you're flipping through the magazine, you know very little about all the different domains, foreign policy, like economics, construction, whatever, right? Flipping through this, don't know. But then when you get to your subject matter, you're able to identify something. And wait a minute, I know the law. I'm a lawyer. I know what that means. And that's wrong. So this article's wrong and idiotic. But then what we do is we forget it when we turn the page. And so from law, we turn the page and we say, oh, now it's marine biology. And you say, I don't know anything about marine biology. And so some other moron is writing about marine biology and you read it, you're like, well, that all must be true. That's what's happening in this report. Okay, people are looking at the report and they're saying, well, it must be true because it came from an ethics committee. This is one example in one area where the report is failing. It's buckling under its own weight of lies. And other people will just now forget about it. Oh, well, they just lied about this one witness. That must mean all the other witnesses are fine. No, they're all now coming into question because the committee cannot be deemed to be truthful. And so a Matt Gaetz ally coming to support Matt Gaetz, and Matt Gaetz continues to fight this smear that they dropped right during the holiday season. They dropped it on 12/23, so Gaetz had no time to respond to any of this. They lost jurisdiction over it, and they still are doing everything they can because they're mad about Kev McCarthy. So we'll continue to keep our eye on this one. Thanks for subscribing and supporting us as we do. All right, now, Matt Gaetz update has concluded. Let's talk about how upset the left is with the Trump victory. They are basically committing an insurrection. Democrats are now plotting to stop Trump from taking office. I remember in 2020 when people were talking about this, they were called insurrectionists and extremists. So we have to ask that very same question about these two folks. Evan A. Davis and David Schulte, two opinion contributors who are now saying and urging Congress to block Trump from taking office, which is curious because I think Fani Willis prosecuted a bunch of people for thinking about ideas like this, about the transition of power, peaceful trend, all this stuff. Now they want Trump to be prevented from his rightful place. Here is what the article says. And we'll read through this because this article is pretty biased and poorly constructed. But we're going to read what their argument is and then actually look at the impeachment clauses and how it works in the Constitution, because they're being very sneaky here and dishonest. They wrote, you know, the Constitution provides that an oath-breaking insurrectionist is ineligible to be president. And you could even argue with that premise, okay? This is the plain wording of the 14th Amendment. They say the insurrection clause. No person committing an insurrection shall take office. Now, the House of Representatives can remove that by a 2/3 vote. They say, we have already come to a conclusion that Trump is disqualified, and so now we just need Congress to take action. And I want to read this just so we can understand the mechanics of what these lunatics are going to try to do. Disqualification is based on insurrection against the Constitution, and they say Trump is an insurrectionist. It's already been litigated. The first of these was the second impeachment trial, of which Trump was not convicted. And watch this sneakiness. They say on January 13th, President Trump was impeached for incitement of insurrection. That was in the House of Representatives. Then it goes over to the Senate. Remember, we were here. At the trial in the Senate, 7 Republicans joined all the Democrats, here you go, watch, to provide a majority for conviction, but failed to reach the 2/3 vote required for removal from office. See that? These people are total liars. Provide a majority for conviction. It's sneaky, but it's very dishonest. So does that mean Trump was convicted? He just wasn't removed? Or is it 2/3 for conviction, not a simple majority? We're going to read the Constitution. Inciting insurrection encompasses engaging in insurrection against the Constitution, which means you can be disqualified. So that was one. They say we've already decided this. So first of all, they failed their own standards. Let's come back to that. They say it's already been litigated in Colorado because there was a 5-day hearing there where that judge said Trump was not disqualified. And then the Colorado Supreme Court affirmed that and actually did disqualify him. Then remember, the Court of Appeals held that they cannot disqualify, and Trump came back on the ballot. So, but the lower level court did find that Trump engaged in an insurrection. So that's finding number 2. So they're laying the foundation so that the Congress people can go in and object to Trump. Finally, and by the way, that was such a rigged trial in general. There was very little cross-examination. It was a civil lawsuit. I mean, the whole thing was done completely haphazardly. There was really no due process. The judge just scheduled hearings. It was wild. So that's a joke. Then we also have this bipartisan inquiry, which is what they're referencing to be the January 6th Select Committee. They say it was bipartisan because Nancy Pelosi violated her own House rules and appointed Liz Cheney and Kinzinger to this. And they found Trump was an insurrectionist. Now, they say all of this is enough. The majority is saying that they can now remove Trump. There's legislation that also exists. And so just watch this. Now, they say the act specifies 2 grounds for objection to an electoral vote. If they're not regularly given, then they can vote to disqualify. So they're saying we want 20% of the members of each house to invalidate the electors from the state. Fannie told us that was a crime to call for that or to start moving for that. It was part of an ongoing conspiracy, racketeering, to say Congress should find like alternate electors. If the objection is sustained by a majority vote, the vote is not counted and the number of votes is reduced. So they disqualify legitimate ballots, legitimate electors sent in from the states. If all votes for Trump were not counted, Kamala Harris would be elected president. Can you believe this? This is an insurrection. They want to disqualify votes from the states. We were asking for them to just investigate the election and to just, maybe take alternate slates. They want to just disqualify them. This is insurrection. The unlikelihood of Republicans doing anything that might elect Harris is obvious, but Democrats need to take a stand against the Electoral College and make sure Trump is disqualified. They all have taken an oath. So they want them to do, I think, even more than what some Trump people were arguing in 2020. We were just saying, hey, there's alternate slates. Like the state legislature says that the executive branch had a bad problem counting the votes. The executive branch says these are our returns. The legislature says these are our returns. They go up to the House. Mike Pence, the argument was, could say, well, I got 2 competing slates, so now we have a contingent election. Let's debate this, right? Mike, and even Ted Cruz was saying, let's debate this. They're just saying, just reject the votes. Arizona voted for Trump. So when those votes come in, 20% just say these were unlawfully cast, unregularly cast, and you're disqualified. So those electoral ballots don't count. They're trying to steal an election. And the opinion writers from the Hill are apparently committing multiple crimes because we know that alternate electors and people who are part of the conspiracy have been indicted in multiple states. Michigan indicted people. Arizona indicted people. Georgia indicted people for even talking about this stuff. Meeting in meeting places and having meetings about this. Did they have a meeting to talk about this? Indict them immediately. So that's just one area. Now, I wanted to show you the actual law. So this one paragraph where they say, look, there was a majority for conviction. Okay, see that? A majority for conviction. That's curious. Here's what the Constitution says. The House of Representatives shall choose their speaker and other officers and have the sole power of impeachment. So the impeachment happens in the House, the trial in the Senate. Article 1, Section 3. The Senate shall have the sole power to try all impeachments. They originate in the House, go to the Senate. When sitting for that purpose, they shall be on an oath or affirmation. Now, when the President of the United States is tried, Supreme Court Chief Justice presides, and no person shall be convicted, see that? Convicted without concurrence of 2/3 of the members present. 2/3 of the members present. Judgment in cases of impeachment shall not extend further than to removal and disqualification to hold and enjoy But the party convicted shall nevertheless be liable and subject to the indictment, trial, judgment, and punishment according to the law. So convicted, this is what we spent a lot of time talking about. Okay, Trump should not have been prosecuted for any of the crimes unless he was ultimately convicted and removed. And so 2/3 of the members present, I guess, would be the people who are in the body. Removal's 2/3. They're saying that there was a majority for conviction. My argument would be he was not convicted and he was not removed from office. And so he cannot, that is not an adjudicated case, okay? Just like the other cases where they say there was finality, like in the Mercan case, this has not been concluded. So in addition to this impeachment, they also fail in Colorado. They fail for January 6th. And he was not impeached and removed from office and not convicted. So they can try all of this they want, but all of this is just arguing for another insurrection. They want to try to remove him at all costs. And they're trying other things as well. Remember, we've got the FBI and our intelligence agencies we've got a lot of questions about. This guy is called Dan Crenshaw. He showed up outside the Congress and he was asked about TikTok and social media censorship. And we remember in 2020, when they were trying to impeach him and remove him from office, and when they were trying to stop him from running again, the intelligence agencies also wrote that 51 laptop letter where they all said that Trump was under the influence of Russian interference. Here was Crenshaw outside being asked a question about TikTok and whether or not our own intelligence agencies and these 51 people who tried to get Biden elected and may have been successful in 2020, if they're interfering as much as TikTok. Here's this exchange.
Access to everything TikTok has, which means data on all Americans. And with data and with access to your app that you're addicted to, you can vastly manipulate an entire population, which the Chinese have done already.
Are you worried that our intelligence agencies are doing the same thing domestically?
Am I worried that, I know that they're not.
They're not manipulating Americans? They're not?
How do you know that?
Controlling the flow of information?
Yeah, did you have some evidence otherwise?
Yes.
That you'd like to share?
I mean,
okay.
Before the
any serious?
He didn't even let him answer, Dan.
So fight dance were to say fight.
Congressman, you asked for an example of the U.S. intelligence agencies meddling in our information. What about before the 2020 election when 50 members came out and said the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation? Does that count?
No, because they were retired.
They were retired, but the FBI,
program.
the FBI had the laptop for over a year.
There's nothing even close to what TikTok.
It's nothing even close to what TikTok is doing. Yeah, TikTok didn't steal an election. The CIA did, Dan. So, all right. So Dan is an intelligence operative, basically. And we got a lot of questions about everything they're trying to do to stop Trump, including setting up January 6th that led to the impeachment, that led to the TikToker, the 51 laptop letter. We've also got questions about the Trump assassin, would-be assassin, called Ryan Routh. Now, he has had a victory in his prosecution. Judge Cannon found partially in favor of Ryan Routh. We remember Judge Cannon from the Florida classified documents case, where she threw out Jack Smith's case, called him not a real boy because he was never lawfully appointed or confirmed by the Senate, and so he had no prosecutorial powers. Threw his booty out. Now she's finding a little in favor of Ryan Routh. Here's an update on the Trump assassin case. Coming down from Judge Eileen Cannon, Southern District of Florida, where Trump was prosecuted for his classified documents case, Judge Cannon says, we're granting in part Ryan Routh's motion to postpone the trial date, meaning it's going to be continued down the road, and they're going to establish some more pretrial deadlines. Here's the update. They say trial's currently scheduled to begin in February, and now the defense wants some additional time because they say they've got an extraordinary volume of discovery. And we read through this, they've got terabytes and terabytes of data. They say we need additional time. The United States government filed a motion to oppose. They say no. They say we want a quick trial because there are victims like Trump. And we want to curtail the ongoing attempts to taint the jury pool from the defense again, whatever that means. And they seek firm deadlines, including mental health disclosures. Now, the court heard argument, and here's what she says. Being fully advised, Ryan Routh's motion, the Trump would-be assassin, is granted in part. The trial is set to begin during the 2-week period commencing on September 8th, 2025. So we got some time on this. The court finds that the interests of justice are served here. Here's why. They say, we know that Ryan Routh was indicted by a grand jury, 5 different charges: attempted assassination of Trump, firearms possession, felon in possession of a firearm. The guy has like dozens of criminal records, charges in his convictions, possession of a firearm with an obliterated serial number. He's got 2 public defenders. Now, trial was initially scheduled for November, but there has been a voluminous dump of discovery. Since the return of the indictment and following an entry of a protective order that says that Routh can access this material, the United States has filed 5 responses. They've also met with an initial expert outlining its desire to give more discovery more quickly, and the U.S. is making demands for reciprocal discovery, so the defense will give them discovery. And they're talking about stipulations. They're scheduling a scene inspection with defense counsel to go visit the golf course, and as of the status conference, we haven't detailed the timeline for this. So the judge says, okay, so here we are. All that being said, it looks like we've got all of the outstanding discovery that has been transferred: body-worn cameras, recent interviews, jail communications, Ryan Routh and whomever. Defendant has not filed any notice of defenses or any expert disclosures, but they indicate that Routh is going through mental health evaluations. They're ongoing to assess a potential insanity defense or a competency evaluation. Interesting. Yeah. And those can take time, right? And generally the way that these will work is they'll see a couple people. Generally in Arizona, we'll do it with 3. So you'll see one person. If one person says that you're competent for this, you might see another person. And if that other person agrees you're competent, you're done. Okay, you got 2 people who decided that. If they disagree, one person says, no, this guy's a Looney Tune, and the other guy says this guy's competent, you have a third, breaks the tie, then it goes to the courts. So he's going through that right now. Judge Cannon says, upon review of the record and following the status conference that has been held, the court determines a continuance is warranted. There is substantial discovery in this case. However, several factors inform the conclusion of this. First, notwithstanding the defense's hint to the contrary, the United States has complied with its discovery. There's no unreasonable delays here. Now, although discovery is substantial, due largely to the number of electronic devices that were seized, many from Routh himself, the schedule afforded below gives you plenty of time to review all of this, including the stuff that's outside of this jurisdiction. And third, although Routh needs adequate time to evaluate and prepare pretrial motions, nothing in the present record leads the court to believe that any motions will involve any unusual complexity. But this additional time will give us time to prepare and resolve for these things. Fourth, Routh is under pretrial detention in Miami rather than in West Palm Beach. He's not impeded from consulting with his counsel. There's no basis to believe that he's hampered while there. And finally, the defense counsel represents a need to complete ongoing mental health screening. The process must be completed without delay to facilitate a speedy trial. And so for these reasons, and erring on the side of additional time, they will push this out. The parties are reminded to comply with the rules otherwise. And so here's the schedule. Any notice of an insanity defense or notice of expert evidence of mental condition or mental competency motions, anything related to his mental health, due by February 3rd. Then supplement expert disclosures, also due by the government on the 3rd. More dates in February. Discovery status reports through March. April, we got all final pretrial motions due. Then we fast forward, witness list due in July, pretrial conference scheduled for August 8th, trial scheduled for September 8th. So, going to be a busy year next year for Ryan Routh, but now he's going through mental competency evaluations. So that is appropriate for him based on what we've seen. We've seen videos of him. He's got a long criminal record, traveled, I think, back and forth to Ukraine. But there's some interesting things happening with him. And we noticed as we were covering this story that he came in, Border Patrol flagged him, sent it over to Homeland. Homeland said, not our problem, let him on through. Then he ends up shooting at President Trump. Curious situation. We'll keep our eye on it. All right, and so That is the Democrats and their efforts to stop Trump. Let's talk about this dude trying to stop CEOs. And this is an interesting development. The judge in the Luigi Mangione case is married to a former Pharma dude. Turns out that is the report from Ken Klippenstein and Dan Bogus Law. You see, they have revealed this to all of us, saying that the pretrial judge in the federal case is married is married to a former Pfizer executive who is this guy. So the judge who's presiding over this case is named Catherine Parker. This is a recent order from her, and we're in the federal court. So Mangione has been charged in 3 different locations. Pennsylvania for gun charges, where he was found at the McDonald's. The state charges for murder and terrorism brought by Alvin Bragg at the state level. We also have the feds who charged him, indicted him later. That is this case right now, and she is the judge in the federal court. And she just issued this order days before Christmas saying, we're confirming that the government has an obligation to disclose any evidence that's favorable to the defendant. So if there's any information that's exculpatory, they have to give it to Luigi. The obligation applies regardless of whether it's admissible evidence. The government has to disclose this stuff, part of the Brady rules. Now, as part of these obligations, they must also disclose any information that can be used to impeach the trial testimony of government witnesses, which is within the meaning of this case law. So if it might impugn our witnesses, and they have it, they should disclose it to the defense. They have to. Now, the foregoing obligations are continuing ones. These obligations also apply to other information. In the event the government believes that a disclosure might compromise something like national security or victims' rights, you can let the court know. And then the court will make a decision about whether to disclose that to the defense. This is a very standard order. Now, for purposes of this order, the government has an affirmative obligation to get information that might be exculpatory based on what the defendant has been charged with. And if the government fails to comply with this order, in addition to ordering the production, the court could impose sanctions on the prosecutors for failing to oblige. They could also dismiss the charges and all of the things. And so this has been ordered by this judge, Catherine H. Parker, United States Magistrate Judge. And as we know, she's married to a former Pfizer executive. So Ken Klippenstein got this one out. Says that Catherine Parker, who's overseeing the pretrial hearings for Luigi, is married to this dude, Brett Parker, former Pfizer executive, and the judge holds hundreds of thousands of dollars in stock, including in healthcare companies and pharmaceutical companies. Oh, man. The judge's ties to the healthcare business are a stark reminder of how this is everywhere. Parker's husband, Brett Parker, left Pfizer in 2010, where he served as vice president and general counsel after holding the same titles at Wyeth, another pharmaceutical manufacturer that was purchased by Pfizer. Like everywhere, man. According to Parker's disclosures, her husband, Brett, still collects a pension from his time at Pfizer in the form of a senior executive retirement plan, or a SERP. Pfizer is the largest pharmaceutical company, $58 billion in 2023. Man, those jabs were good for them. Is known for manufacturing the jab. The company also had its share of controversies. They spend millions on grants. Judge Parker holds between 50 and 100 grand in Pfizer stock. Oh man, it's like rough day if you're a defendant. Like you just got off the street from eliminating some pharma CEO in the back, and you're sitting in court, and your judge is like married to a pharma bro, and the judge is stacking her stock portfolio. She's watching the Pfizer, looking at him. How do you plead to this? Good. All right. Get that out of the way. Not guilty. My stock is still the same. Okay, that's good. So, it's not good. Parker also holds scattered interest in pharmaceutical, biotech, healthcare companies like Abbott Laboratories, owner of St. Jude Medical. Abbott has drawn criticism in recent years for manufacturing toxic baby formula. Look at all this money. Parker also has got pharmaceutical biotech investments in Viatris, Intellia Therapeutics, AC Technology, CRISPR Therapeutics. Sheesh. So all of that came out in their report. Here's what the report looks like. Financial disclosure. This is the judge, Catherine H. Parker. She is the district court judge in New York. And of course, this, I think, alone doesn't impugn her, obviously, because judges can make investments and they can have financial interests and do other things. But when it's directly in pharma and your husband's like a pharma dude, a pharma bro, you might just want to recuse for the appearances of impropriety alone. But here is some of what's in this report. 401k plans. We've got, there it is. Spouse's non-investment income. 2023 Pfizer, pension and the CERT payout. There it is right there. So husband's got some pharma money. Man, pharma money's everywhere. They have so much of it. They just are paying off everybody. And lots of other investments. So we'll see. This is news that is breaking. Looks like a lot of the mainstream media is not covering it, but Ken Klippenstein did. So shout out to Ken Klippenstein for covering it. We'll see if this causes anything to emerge, whether Luigi Mangione's attorney is going to file a motion or a notice of recusal, and whether the judge will respond to this or voluntarily recuse. We'll see. But we've got more, because in Luigi's case, they're asking about this murder charge and the terrorism charge, more specifically, that was attached onto it by Alvin Bragg. New York Times bringing it up, saying this is going to be a new test for anti-terrorism laws. Says he brought this charge because it was sowing fear. That's going to be the allegation. And that is terrorism. 6 days after 9/11, New York passed sweeping anti-terrorism laws. 9/11 was a pretty big terrorist attack. But this one, little bit different. Their decision to characterize this as a political act will test the law, says the Times. Going to have implications beyond the courtroom. He got a handwritten manifesto decrying the healthcare system, and that could enhance and increase the strength of the charges. But whether it's terrorism, we'll see. Alvin Bragg has argued that the terrorism charge is warranted. It was meant to send a message to the public. Mr. Mangione said at a news conference intended to sow fear. Another person called Zachary Carter, who served as the U.S. attorney in Brooklyn, said that based on what he has been made public, it fits the definition of terrorism. It allows for harsher sentences. Prosecutors can use criminal charges to punish people for what they say and do. And so they're saying here, they wanted to send a message. If you're going to shoot somebody in the back and write messages on bullets, we're going to charge you with terrorism. So we'll keep our eye on this one. You can see this is what the docket looks like on the federal case. We've got the order, and this medical order, I think, might be kind of improperly labeled. It's what we just read, so it's not really an exciting medical order. It's just if you discover anything, you need to disclose it. So we'll keep our eye on Luigi Mangione. We'll see if Catherine Parker makes any comments on this relationship or if the parties bring it up, and she'll be forced to respond. But we'll keep our eye on this one. Thanks for subscribing and joining as we do. All right. And so, my friends, we got one final update on the day, and it's this story, which is a fun one. Shoplifting is a felony. That is what these folks are now learning. You can see this is an Instagram post that came from the Seal Beach Police. And this is a curious one because they captured these women allegedly shoplifting, and the conversation of them in the patrol car has been capturing attention all over the internet. Now, we'll go through what the law actually says, because this is Prop 36, and we're going to read what it says because they reference it. You can see that woman just got taken down by SEAL Police. They say, one of my mother's favorite songs, in this song they're playing Boots Are Made for Walkin', which we will listen to this in a little bit closer detail. But they say, one of mother's favorite songs, and a friendly reminder that Prop 36, which increases punishments for retail theft and drug possession, went into effect Wednesday morning in California. It undoes some of the changes voters made with the 2014 ballot measure that turned certain nonviolent felonies into misdemeanors, effectively shortening prison sentence leading to a spike in retail theft and crime. Now, here in Seal Beach, we never believed in the cite and release program, but this new proposition only strengthens our commitment to combating organized retail theft. And so remember, folks, don't steal and seal. Don't steal and seal. The song, of course, here is Boots Are Made for Walking. And so we'll just let that play out so that the YouTube strikers don't get mad at us. But here is the video. You can see these women walk into the store. Cops are keeping their eye on them. $648 is what was taken from this location. Walk out of the store. Cops are still coming to chase them down. Back in another store, it looks like a Target, holiday season. The law just changed. You see $237 right there. Nice pickup as they're walking around. Grab some makeup, nice boots. Don't know if those are lawfully purchased or shoplifted. But walking around, man, everything is pretty good when it's free. $951 for those. Load them right up, walk right out the door. So walking out right past the post office box, cops show up and they complete the takedown. Women are captured, running, and nabbed. And so you can see taken down and then brought inside to the patrol vehicle. And here's what it sounded like when they were having a conversation. Sorry about that. Very extremely loud. Tried to avoid that. That's what we were avoiding. All right, so here it is.
That's a felony? Bitch, new laws. Stealing is a felony. And this is Orange County, bitch. They don't play. That's why I asked what county is this. That's where I went to jail last year and got on probation for a year for stealing out of Target.
So not gonna be good because it sounds like they've got some prior offenses, or at least that one woman does. She was arrested last time. We got new laws, okay? They don't play in Orange County. So they got arrested. Here's what the new law says. And if you read through it, it is delivered to us from Riverside Police. New understanding from the district attorney from the county of Riverside. You can see they just dropped this right before Christmas, saying a new law is significant. On December 18th, Prop 36 went into effect. It aims to address homelessness, addiction, and theft, and a new approach to prosecutions and sentencing. And this is an interesting concept. They have this wobbler offense. They call it a wobbler offense. So if you are on the cusp of a misdemeanor or a felony, you're kind of wobbling in the middle, and they can decide what to do. Elevate it to a felony or lower it to a misdemeanor. These are offenses that can be charged as felonies or misdemeanors depending on various factors. 2 new wobbler offenses are now defined. Possession of hard drugs, fentanyl, heroin, cocaine, meth, and their analogs, and 2 prior drug convictions, and petty theft, shoplifting with 2 prior theft-related convictions. Yeah, so they can escalate that, it sounds like, up into a felony. And in my experience, what often happens with shoplifting cases is they may get you on shoplifting, but then they arrest you and they find other things on your person. And so you might have, let's say, narcotic drugs on your person, and now you're hit with a shoplifting charge and possession of narcotic drugs, depending on how much you have, and maybe for sale, right? Or maybe there's other indicia there. So it can escalate very quickly. And they've got this new delineation of these wobbler offenses, but if they've got priors, or if that one woman has priors, she'll probably wobble on up into the felony threshold. Sentencing for these wobblers varies. A first offense, usually jail. Subsequent offenses, prison. And when you have situations like this, where they've got priors and they're just kind of going shopping, it's like they're not even stealing food. It's like makeup, stuff like that. Really hard to argue to a prosecutor, like, she's starving and like dying. She's needed food. And they're caught on camera and they're communicating it openly. Like, we know it's a felony, but we were doing it anyways. I even asked, what county were we in? It's like, oh gosh. Oh, so you were like going out shoplifting. Okay, people go shopping. You went shoplifting. Like, what county are we in? Is this a favorable county? So those are not good factors for a prosecutor to say, that these people should earn some. I'm a defense attorney. I'm representing them. I'm saying, show some mercy. Look, this is a good person because of these things. Like, she didn't want to be in your county. Well, she was shoplifting, you know? That's good. She thought she was going to be somewhere else, so be nice to her. Oh, yeah. Prosecutor, like, that's funny. Thanks. Hey, beyond the new wobbler offenses, Prop 36 increases penalties for fentanyl trafficking, large-scale operations, some DUI stuff. Regarding property crimes, the new law allows for the aggregation of stolen property value from multiple thefts. That means that multiple smaller thefts can be combined to determine if the overall value meets the felony threshold. Prop 36 also increases penalties for property crimes where there's $50,000 in losses or if there's multiple perpetrators, and for crimes involving multiple perpetrators. So there were 3 of them. These changes aim to deter large-scale property crime and organized criminal activity. The overall effect of these provisions is a more robust and comprehensive approach, and you'll see that. People will go in swarms, and it's hard to catch everybody because they're swarming everything. The implications of Prop 36 are far-reaching. It emphasizes treatment for drug-related offenses, stricter stances on repeat offenders, wobbler provisions, increased penalties if you're in that threshold level. The judicial process built into the wobbler offenses ensures individualized assessments and making sure that things are proportional. So they're building some discretion in. It fundamentally reshapes theft crimes. Understanding these charges is crucial for navigating this, and these women are now learning about it. So they were taken into custody. One of them is surprised. Prop 36 increases penalties. Surveillance video shows that they went to Ulta. They were perusing the shelves. They left with $648 worth of stolen stuff. Another video allegedly shows the same 3 going inside a Kohl's store, another $1,000. Body cam video shows them being chased and tackled. During the pandemic, shoplifting, burglary, and commercial theft skyrocketed, and now people are catching the message. Opponents, including social justice groups, said this is going to imprison poor people and those with faces that need makeup, lots of free makeup, and substance use rather than ringleaders who hire large groups of people to steal for them. All right, so they were being shoplifting makeup mules, I guess. Californians for Safety, a nonprofit, said that 130,000 more people are going to go to jail. Well, that's better than letting 130,000 people steal all across California. So Fox News had a report on this. Here's what they were saying.
Showing an accused shoplifter shocked to learn that she may face a felony charge for theft. The Southern California Police Department is now reminding folks about the new Prop 36 law that cracks down on low-level theft. Matt Finn, live in Los Angeles to explain all of this. Memo to shoplifters. You can now be prosecuted.
That's right, John. And you know, here in California, we've reported on countless cases of brazen theft, shoplifting with no significant consequences. But last month, California voters overwhelmingly approved the new law, Prop 36, which rolls back criminal justice reform policies that critics say led to overwhelming crime. Police and prosecutors now have more leeway to charge crimes as felonies. Like this video from Seal Beach in Orange County. 3 women walk into an Ulta beauty store and then a Kohl's, casually stealing whatever they want, not even trying to conceal some of their stolen goods. Even after leaving the stores, the women, they're in no rush, but are surprised when Seal Beach police run up on them, and after a short chase, they arrest the thieves. Take a listen here as a police camera captures 2 of these young women talking about their shock that they were arrested for a felony.
That's a felony? New laws. Stealing is a felony. And this is Orange County. They don't play.
The 3 women were booked into an Orange County jail on charges of grand theft, conspiracy to commit a crime, and resisting arrest. Now, yesterday in Bakersfield, California, Dustin Towery pleaded not guilty to stealing 2 scooters from a Target store. Before Prop 36, Towery could only be charged with a misdemeanor, but now the DA can and did charge this man with a felony, in part because he had 6 prior convictions for stealing and a history of skipping out on court appearances.
Had it been before the passage of Prop 36, he would have been given, if caught, which he resisted arrest, but if caught, he would have been given a citation and a promise to appear. Now, because of the voters, this man is in custody and can't steal again, at least for a while.
And because of that man's criminal past, the judge ordered him held in jail without bail. Again, something that would not have been possible just a few weeks ago here in California. John.
It's a whole new world out there.
Wow, it's crazy. It's a whole new world in California. If you steal, you get in trouble. Wow, shocking. They're finally catching up with the rest of humanity and society. So congratulations to California now. You're going to arrest criminals who are shoplifting and stealing from you on the streets. Doing it repeatedly, okay? And look, there are situations where people have actually, like stealing addictions and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that that is kind of one of these cases, but there is almost an excuse. There was an excuse in California to enable this. And I've seen it in person, standing there going, what is happening? These people are running right out of here with stuff in their hands. It's crazy. It's Looney Tune land. So shout out to, I guess, these prosecutors for enforcing the new law. We'll see if it changes anything in California. Probably not. All right, let's see what you say about this, my friends. It has been a beautiful day and a beautiful stream. I hope that your Thursday is unfolding nicely and that you've got a nice light Friday scheduled for tomorrow. We've got, if you're just joining us, we had a couple good segments here today. Matt Gaetz and an ally now demanding a retraction of that ethics smear that they dropped right on the Christmas holiday. We talked about liberals demanding an insurrection to stop Trump from transitioning into power, basically begging Democratic congresspeople and Republicans to not count the votes that come in lawfully, duly from the states. Which feels like they're trying to undermine American democracy in the peaceful transition of power. We talked about Luigi Mangione and his very interesting judge who is married to a Pharma bro, and she's got 50 to 100K in Pharma money. And her husband used to work for Pfizer. All very interesting things. We'll see if there's any recusal requests on that case. And of course, shoplifting is a felony, viral video, and Prop 36 in California now waking some folks up over there who may have had a prior life of stealing. And now, my friends, it's time to hear from you and see what you say about all of this. It's a beautiful day. Thank you for sending in those donos and for supporting our work here. Thanks for becoming a membo and joining us on our members-only streams in the morning. We got some great comments here. Hey, what's happening? Let's see. Hey, what's up? Happy Thursday, my friends. Can you believe it's Thursday? I know. Hey, look who's here. Here, what's up? We got have a rockin' day, my friends. Have a rockin' day indeed. That kitty looks very happy. Jet Sam Marvel. What's up, Jet Sam Marvel? Thanks for becoming a supporter. Welcome aboard. Grab the members only stream from this morning. We'll see you there. Hey, Stop Sniffing Kids Joe is in the house. Says, been a membo for 17 months. That's almost 2 full babies. My goodness. Can't wait for that one. Love the show, Rob. The salt is getting deep. It is. Yeah, it is getting deep out there. Mounds of liberal salt demanding Trump votes not be counted. Brian Hinkle. What's up, Brian Hinkle? Thanks for becoming a supporter, my friend. Thanks for joining up and supporting our work. Spuds is here. What's up, Spuds? Says, today is my parents' 65th YE. That is a 6 and a 5 wedding anniversary. Look at that. 65 years. Happy anniversary to Spuds' folks. Look at that handsome couple there. Amazing. 65 years? That's crazy. Good for them, man. Seriously, shout out to 65 incredible years. Something to aspire to. Thank you, Spuds, for sharing that. Beautiful folks. Look at that cake, too. Look at those dresses, man. Great stuff. All right, Milo Phone Bill says, this is what the Hill readers think. See the survey at the end of the opinion piece. So thank you for that, Milo Phone Bill says. To what extent do you support or oppose Congress taking action to block former President Trump from taking office in the future? Look at that. 54% strongly support it. Every one of them should be indicted immediately. Yeah, Kash Patel is going to send the FBI. Those are anti-MAGA extremists right there. Everyone who strongly supports that. Indictments all around. I don't know how many people that is. 199 responses, so somebody can do the math. That's not that many. We can arrest all of them. FBI can go knock on their doors. Object Class Keeter says, IG, did he have a very influential mental issue? TDS. Oh yeah, Ryan Routh. That's true too. That is clinical. It's a clinical. I'm not a medical doctor. This is not medical advice, but in my opinion, TDS is a really serious condition. Knox Bierman, what's up, Knox? Happy Thursday, all. The theory is this Luigi person is being hyped as the blob wants to shift RFK Jr. away from Big Pharma and toward insurance. So the Pfizer judge would work, right? Yeah, it is weird. That is an interesting dynamic. Is Luigi trying to make healthcare companies sympathetic? Is that what we're looking for, right? For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So if Luigi comes and he executes a CEO, and then a bunch of people rally around executing CEOs as we're watching, they're like raising money for him. And I think they sold out of that t-shirt he was wearing or something. So if they're doing that, then that's going to make people react and say, you can't shoot people in the back, or what are you, nuts? And so like now we're defending healthcare companies against being shot. So maybe that makes us subliminally sympathetic to them. I don't know. Good theory, Knox. Who knows? Knox says RFK Jr. doesn't care about insurance, so Big Pharma and Big Agra will survive. Interesting. Well, you're right. I'm not sure I've heard him talk about big insurance a lot. Maybe he will. Knox says, and everyone will be screaming about their insurance. So it's a big distraction. Very interesting. Hey, Sharpie Guy. Love your content, brother. Thank you, Sharpie Guy. Thanks for being here, my man. And thanks for being so supportive. Hey, Knights of Knee says, people for Kamala didn't work because they just watched. Ugh, gosh. They didn't do any work because they were just there watching the whole time. Knights of Knee. 6 months as a memo. Thank you. Hey, sup, Forrest G in the house. What's up, Forrest G? Welcome aboard as a supporter. Glad to have you, my friend. Really appreciate you joining up. Thanks for that. Grab this stream from this morning, and we'll see you tomorrow morning on our members-only Friday stream. Angry Kitty. What's up, Angry Kitty? Welcome aboard. 7 months as a member. Kitten's coming up in 2. Alpha She-Wolf. 19 months as a member. Wow, that's a baby +1. Merry Christmas and a very happy New Year, watchers. Indeed to you, Alpha She-Wolf. Merry Christmas to you. I hope your Christmas was outstanding. Ours was great. We didn't even really do a Christmas update. We did a Christmas update on the Membo stream. Robin King. Shout out. Welcome aboard. Hey, thanks for becoming Robin King. A shout out, Membo. That's the higher tier. Extra shout out. Hey, former LEO. Says, back in the day, we had the old standby of the petite theft with a prior petite theft conviction automatically converted the crime from a misdemeanor to a felony. So well done, California. Yeah, and a lot of states are like that when they're aggravating. You know, they aggravate charges the more of them you get, even DUIs, right? First DUI, misdemeanor, second DUI, misdemeanor, third DUI, DUI, aggravated DUI, felony. Same thing, domestic violence offenses, drug offenses, right? You hear about like 3 strikes rules, stuff like that. And in California, apparently there was no escalation. So you could be like that other guy who just stole. Or, I mean, how many times do people steal and just get away with it, right, in California? Or did they? Not anymore, because it wasn't worth prosecuting. But it's clearly, you know, it's the 80-20 rule. 20% of the people are responsible for 80% of the results. So of your shoplifting problem, there's about 20% who are responsible for 80% of that. And that's recursive. So you can dig that down back into that number. Probably 1 to 2% of people are responsible for a huge majority of your theft and your loss. So that's where you got to focus. And that's what they're doing. All right. So let's see who's joining us on X. And then we're going to go over to Watching the Watchers. .locals.com for our members only after party. Hey, what's up, James Pepper? Merry Christmas. James Pepper is over on X. And we just had one person saying hello on X. And so we'll leave it there, my friends. We're going to call it a day. We're going to head over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com. It's a beautiful day after Christmas. I hope you've got tons of leftovers that you're just piling in there, catching up on some relaxation. We are going to pause there for the evening, go to Locals. We'll be back here tomorrow, of course. Before we round it out, want to thank our amazing mods and our meme smiths, including K-Bean, Donut, Mind Me. We got Carrie B, Playing Hooky, our friend Dog Digger, and Janek holding the fort down for us on the Rumbles as well. Thank you for being amazing mods. Shout out to our Spotlight supporters on YouTube who are extra supportive. We're grateful for you, our friends. Mitchell Townsend, I think I misgendered MJ Powell, thank you. And Anthony Pedicini, appreciate our Spotlight supporters who are extra supportive on the YouTubes. Thank you for those. If you're looking for any PDFs that we cover on the show, if you're looking for the links that I cover on the show, we are now turning those into show notes, and we're posting the PDFs at watcherlodge.com. Watcherlodge.com. It's free. You need to sign up to just get access to the stuff, but it's great. There's a bunch of stuff over there, so check it out. PDFs, show notes are there, and more stuff is coming soon. We also want to thank you for liking this video, sharing this video, hitting the notification bell so that you can join us whenever we go live. And if you're looking for more stuff or anything more about me or the show, check out robertgovea.com, our new website with some new headshots over there. You know, trying to get fancy over here. So anyways, my friends, I want to thank you for being here. I know it is a little bit of a slower week, but I appreciate you taking time out of your day to go through the business that we need to attend to here together. We are going to pause for the evening, and we'll be back tomorrow to get into it again. And in order to do that appropriately, we're going to need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night, my friends, and an amazing Thursday. We'll see you back here tomorrow for a beautiful Friday. Make it a great night. I'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye.